Good morning. Welcome again to Morning Devotions. Thank you again so much for our time together. Let's go right to the book of Hebrews chapter 7 today, beginning with verse 1. Then Melchizedek was king of Salem. Salem is the ancient city of Jerusalem when it was still Parang Barrio. The priest of God Most High. He met Abraham returning from the defeat of the kings and blessed him. And Abraham gave him a tenth of everything. First, his name means King of Righteousness. Then King of Salem means King of Peace, without father or mother, without genealogy, without beginning of days or end of life. Like the Son of God, he remains a priest forever. Now down to verse 6. This man, however, did not trace his descent from Levi, yet he collected a tenth from Abraham and blessed him who had the promises. Without any doubt, the lesser person is blessed by the greater. Now we know that Melchizedek was the pre-incarnate Christ. Christ before he was born in a baby's body, all right? This was the ancient high priest of God. Jesus walked this earth as the high priest. He's always been a high priest, but he walked this earth as high priest. Jerusalem was even his city where monotheism began in the ancient world from the very beginning. And I want you to notice, Jesus in his pre-incarnate form received the tithe. Now, people like to say today that Jesus didn't teach tithing. Well, first of all, Jesus is the pre-incarnate Christ, and he received the tithe. Also, Jesus said, don't neglect the former. Don't keep doing the latter, but don't neglect the former, referring to tithing. Now, there's many people today that want to take tithing out of the relationship man has with God. And they say, we're not under the law, we're under grace, so we don't have to tithe. The tithe has nothing to do with the law. It's in the law because it was part of all man's relationship with God. But Abraham was tithing to Jesus long before the Mosaic law, long before the Exodus of Egypt. Tithing has always been a principle of man's relationship with God. Now I challenge you today, if you're a Christian, you need to honor God with his tithe. The tithe belongs to the Lord, the Bible says. Every week when you go to your local church, you need to bring the tithe and return the tithe. Jesus is still Melchizedek, the high priest today. Jesus still receives the tithe today. The tithe doesn't go to the preacher. The tithe is brought to Jesus. Jesus is high priest. Every time you go to God's house, return to the Lord his tithe. That's what Malachi says opens the windows of heaven. Now, there are many Christians today that they sow seed, but they don't prosper because they don't understand. The sowing of the seed doesn't open the windows of heaven. The generosity that you sow seed with determines the abundance that comes out of the windows of heaven. But it's the tithe that opens the windows of heaven. So please, if you're looking for an excuse not to tithe, I'm sure you can find one. But do the right thing and watch God bless you.